All right, it's time for an abbreviated version of the Fantasy Grill. Let's talk about our top performers from last week and give you some insight into what you can do moving forward next week on how to win your fantasy league. Not just a week, win your league. So here's the thing. Last week, number 1 was Jamar Chase. Number 2 was Stephon Diggs. Number 3 was Tyreek Hill. Number 4, Joe Burrow. And number 5, Brendan Ayuk. That's 4 out of the top 5 fantasy performers last week were wide receivers. In fact, when you look at the quarterback position, only 3 of the top 15. So, Anthony K, Mr. Fluent, Mr. Sports Fluent, Mr. Now You're More Fluent, what does that mean? What it means is you can take advantage of players in your league who overvalue quarterbacks because the quarterback position is very, very deep. And the 10th, 12th quarterback can still win you your league. But if you can get a top 10 wide receiver, you have a much better chance. Running back has taken a backseat in most PPR leagues to wide receivers. So what do? Take that top tier quarterback with a name like Patrick Mahomes or Lamar Jackson, package them with one of your bottom tier running backs or wide receivers, and pick up a wide receiver 1. Or if you weren't smart enough like I was to have stashed away DeAndre Hopkins, that'll actually give you a very good chance at winning your league. Now, every scenario is different. If you have a specific question, send it to Anthony K at sportsfluent.com, and I'll let you know what trades you should be making and what ones you shouldn't. So let's jump right into our starts and sits of the week. Quarterback, here's your start, and you're going to be surprised because Aaron Rodgers is on that list. And you're going to say, but Fluent, he's been having a terrible fantasy season. I know, he's starting off slow, but what is the cure for any quarterback who's starting off slow? It's the Washington Commanders, and that's who Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers will be facing this week. Look for Aaron Rodgers to start getting more and more comfortable with his wide receivers, using the running game a little bit more to set up play action, and he'll give you a big fantasy week. The one that you want to sit, however, is one that I've been telling you to sit every single week, and I've been right, and that's Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson is in a terrible situation. He doesn't look right. The team doesn't look right. Coaching, there's issues right across the board, and facing now a New York Jets team that is playing inspired football at 4-2, I want to stay away from that matchup. To the running back position, it's Kenneth Walker season in Seattle. That's no surprise. Start Kenneth Walker versus the Chargers. And who you're going to sit is James Robinson, who I've been very high on in Jacksonville, but he's going up against a New York Giants defense that is playing fantastic. They play a slow running game style, obviously with Saquon Barkley, and tough defense and good special teams. This is not a good matchup for James Robinson. At the wide receiver position, I said his name already. That's how excited I am to have DeAndre Hopkins back in my lineup. I drafted him in almost all my leagues where I could. He's facing New Orleans. He's going to have a nice breakout game, especially with the injury to Hollywood Brown, who will now not be in the lineup. Look for Kyler Murray to look to DeAndre Hopkins a lot. He looks like to be in really great shape as well. The one that you're going to look to sit is Jerry Jeudy. Why? Well, because normally I'd like to stack my quarterback and wide receiver starts. This time I want to stack the sit because they're both going to have bad fantasy weeks this week against that Jets team, so I'm sitting Jerry Jeudy. Tight end, Kyle Pitts. Look for Kyle Pitts. People have kind of said he hasn't looked as good as he looked last year, but you're comparing what he looked like at the end of the season last year versus what he looked like at the beginning of the season. Because at the beginning of the season last year, he looked pretty similar. Look for this to be his week that he starts to get it going, even with Marcus Mariota as his starting QB. Sit is Logan Thomas. Sit is Logan Thomas. I'll pause and then tell you again, sit Logan Thomas. He still has a nagging injury. He's maybe going to start this week. He's maybe going to be in the lineup. Oh, he is, he isn't. And then he's going to disappoint you. Rolling with Logan Thomas because he's going to have that one big week is like you might as well be playing fantasy roulette. The odds aren't in your favor. So sit Logan Thomas this week. Even if he has a big week, it's okay. It's okay. You're better off without him. All right, let's move into the waiver wires. We'll give you some picks. If you're streaming quarterbacks, like Jimmy G is probably always a good option to pick. Matt Ryan might be another one, but I'm going with Jimmy G. He's always my fail-safe if I have he's always available for obvious reasons, but if I ever need a bye week, if I ever have an injury, he's my go-to guy. On the waiver wire, if you remember last week, I told you to pick up Deion Jackson. Did you? Did you start him? That's the biggest question. This week, if he's available, because he is in a lot of leagues still, Kenyon Drake, I think Drake's going to be that guy now in Baltimore. They know they need a running game to complement Lamar Jackson's running/passing game. And JK hasn't been able to stay healthy, stay in the lineup. Look for Kenyon Drake to get a load of the carries there in Baltimore because they know they need to pick up that running game. Then we're going to go to the wide receiver, Wan'Dale Robinson, the wide receiver from the Giants. Looking for someone who's going to get consistent targets. Looks like Daniel Jones is looking to Robinson to be that guy. So I'm comfortable starting him or picking him up off the waiver wire. And then at tight end, look, if there's one bright spot in Bronco land, it's Greg Dulcich, and I'm going to say his last name wrong, but he's the one that you're going to want to pick up off the waiver wires for your tight ends. What to watch for this week, and I kind of feel like I should say this every week. It's like an episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm, whether it's in a negative light, where you've seen a player who's just been having a bad week or had a bad week, and consistently is a good fantasy player. Don't think he's terrible and it's time to trade them away. If, on the other hand, however, there's someone who has been had a huge week, had a big week, don't put all your eggs in that basket. One big week, 9 out of 10 times, leads to a slow follow-up week. So keep that in mind and curb your enthusiasm. And that's it for this week in the Fantasy Grill. Now you're more fluent.